What is going on, everyone, and welcome back to another Black Desert video. My name is John, and today we are going to be looking at my artifacts and Lightstone combos. A lot of you guys have actually asked what I use, and it's still a little work in progress, but I at least can give you an idea of what I use and the goals I have for the future. Is just getting it and how to go about reading some charts on like AP caps and just things that you should look at to improve your grinding. So yeah, in terms of things we're going to be talking about, obviously the different Lightstones and artifacts that we have, how to get them, and of course what each one is for. But also at the same time, we're going to be looking at AP caps, how to read it and where to find it. So I'll leave a lot of links in the description as well. So yeah, back a few months ago, we used to use the Death Blow set, and I don't think this is actually a bad one. I think it's just a little bit outdated now, because ever since they made all those PvE changes, crit rate is more, like, it's just higher in general, so you don't need it as much. But I don't think it's bad. It's also a very cheap option now. Back a few months ago, it was max price every blade artifact, and then now you can buy them for like 1 bill each, so it's always good. I'll talk about some entry level ones as well as some like end game things that people use. So I think Death Blow, it used to be good. It's not bad now. It's just a little bit outdated. So the next thing I think most people use these days is Vicious Shadows. And I'm actually not on my main character. That's why it's over there. But overall, Vicious Shadows is a combination of 2 Predations and a Strike and Shadows crystal. As we all know, at least on North America, the Strike crystal is probably the hardest one to get, or the one that is the most rare. And the reason why people use it is because back attacks can be hit on basically any target, whereas down attacks, airs are very specific to certain enemies. So back attacks can work on anything. So any percent on that is good. Crit damage is always huge with the amount of multipliers every class has. And of course, AP against monsters, and you're using it for PvE, so that's always good, right? I think so. Those are the 2 ones I used to use. One other one that I am going to be using in the future is All Out Attack. And this one is admittedly a very expensive combo. It's also more for people who are kind of geared, because if you look at it here, the all-out attack one, first of all, it requires 2 strike crystals, which is straight up 10 billion silver. It's not like a lot to endgame players. The hardest part is being able to get that. And so the reason why people use this one is if you don't meet the AP like cap at an area, it's more for endgame stuff where breaking over 1,000 is difficult. That crit damage and then the plus all is how much more you'll get. So technically it is the most damage. However, you're trading off some DR and evasion, but like for PvE, it's one of those just don't get hit or know how to use your super armors and dodge it. Plus you do need some gear. So it is one that I will be using in the future. It's just getting 2 strike crystals is the problem. But yeah, another way you could use that one is with the new artifacts that you guys can get. So as you guys know, with the Darkseeker's Retreat, they came out with 2 of these Kabua's artifacts, and admittedly they are 10 billion each, and there's a lot of orders. They're still pretty new, but the reason why it's best in slot is because of the effect. You were never able to get all of these in one, but then this artifact is now an all-in-one. So for PvE, it's really good. Even for PvP, I think like the extra damage against monsters, like it's nice but irrelevant for PvP. But the monster damage reduction, pretty huge. But even if you're using it for PvP, the 100 HP and the stamina is like more than you can get from any other artifacts, which makes it very strong. But we'll talk about some PvP ones later, and we'll get to that. So for PvE, very strong. It allows you to grind higher end spots, plus the 40 damage reduction and if you used all out attack, it kind of negates a little bit, but it's still an overall bonus or positive. So yeah, getting these artifacts is something you can probably just buy. Would I recommend it to like new to intermediate level players? Like 10 bill is a lot, admittedly, but I don't think I would recommend it. Like if you can grind comfortably at the spot you go to, I think you'll be fine. This is more for like the super end game areas, which admittedly you get this from the highest end area. So yeah, it's good, but it's one of those end game items that if you're not there, you're not there. So the next thing we have is one that I used to use as an entry level one. Now, this one, admittedly, I swapped around a little bit. So I used to use 2 magic AP ones. Now, these are fine. And I personally, before I had the strike crystal, I used the air attack one. You could swap that out for down attack, back attack, obviously crit damage if you had it. But I think this is a good entry level artifact set and Lightstone combo because it gives AP, accuracy, stamina, and of course the special attack that you do, whether it's air, crit, back, down, and all that stuff. So get the one you want and fit that into there. One I also used for more PvP was accuracy. So as you guys know, at endgame PvP, accuracy is very important, and they're kind of like slowly closing the gap with accuracy versus evasion. But like evasion is still way better than like accuracy won't be able to catch up quite yet. But either way, if you're doing high-end PvP, you want to have some accuracy ones just because accuracy accessories are expensive, and like just getting a very cheap combo for this is very useful. So I'm gonna have to like rearrange this until I get it, but basically you can swap it out for whatever. Just have the 2 accuracy artifacts. If you're melee, accuracy, magic, or ranged, just get the ones you can. Go to Kratuga if you're missing anything. Another thing I have been testing out was a defensive setup. And so I have 2 all damage reductions artifacts, and then we have the untouchable set. So that's all damage reduction, all evasion, HP, and special attack evasion. This one is more of a like test for me. I don't really use it as often, but I think if I were to grind a new area, or if I played like a tankier class in PvP, I think it is pretty nice to have. And I think the hardest thing that you'll probably have to get is the Disrupt Lightstone, and even then, I don't think it's that expensive anymore. Like when I bought it back in the day, it wasn't even that bad. So yeah, like 270 mil, easy. So that's one of those things, if you are a defensive type player, something I would recommend going for. And then, so we talked about what I would use for entry level offensive, which is this. You could swap out the magic AP for like ranged AP or melee AP, just depending on what class you play. The Vicious Shadows is more for an endgame thing because it does require the strike crystals. And if you obviously get the 10 billion artifacts, then that also contributes to it. We have the next one for straight up PvE. So if you are grinding an area where like you surpass the AP cap and all you want is XP, this is a nice bonus because you get 400% combat XP and it's like it's free. So the way you look at this is the dedication effect is 300 plus the 4 Lightstones, which is another 100. So 300 plus 100, 400. And then we also have the combination for XP for all of this as well. So assuming you are grinding on your main and plus you get all these from seasonals, you get the extra 20% times all of these. And then that's a lot of extra EXP. So that's good. Next thing we have is, I guess all these are for life skills, but I think the one that will be the most important to most people is gathering, because gathering is one of the more profitable ones aside from like cooking. But the one I use is the Yawning Hedgehog. I think this is unironically the best overall gathering set, because it not only gives you gathering item drop rate plus 10%, but XP, mastery, energy recovery, and overall that's good. This is something that will probably run up a little bit in terms of silver, but overall I think if you are like a main life skiller, this one will be worth it. So an iridescent is probably like 800 mil, fortune probably a billion, and I think the gathering mastery, let me look at this. Let me actually just look at all these prices now. Okay, so 800 mil for forest, and yeah, you can get it if you want to. It's not that bad. And then Lightstone artifact, or not that one, iridescent is another 800, so like 1.6 from that. And the fortune one is another 800. So this artifact set will cost you around a little under, I guess we'll just say 3 billion depending on the server, but probably less. And generally, like, I think the reason why you get the fortune is because it combos with a lot of things, not because you actually need the +1 luck. So that's what I use for gathering. We have the Yawning Hedgehog one, and you guys can see that everything else is just straight up XP. And the way you counter that one, for example, cooking, I personally just have cooking XP because I think cooking, like, getting the levels to get the permanent mastery is nicer, and then they'll swap it like at a later time. So one thing you can do if you want more mastery, this is actually something I talked about in another video, is I would just recommend buying all of these. So if you're looking for as much mastery as you can, admittedly this is more of a like an endgame thing, because each crystal is like 500 mil, and then you're buying like 15 of them, so that's like 7.5 billion silver or something like that. But your goal is to get all the extra like mastery crystals, which if you're doing Imperial Delivery or even just AFK cooking, it just helps a little bit. So every mastery bracket is every 50 mastery, so you just want to get as much as you can. And I do this on my main, so I actually have extra crystals for slots for that. But anyway, next thing I wanted to show you was some helpful information. So when people say you need like 1,000 AP, that number is going to come from your stats sheet. So not, you look at this, but you also look at this as well. So I guess doing it on this character is a bad example because I don't actually even have an awakening weapon. But if you have, you'll see AP and then awakening AP right under it. So you take that number and then the extra damage to like enemies, and then extra AP against the type of enemy. So you add all those up. So on my main, it's probably about like 1050. If I'm full buff, maybe 1100. And so you take the AP and then you combine it with that, and then plus all the extra stats. So when you're full buffed, you'll get more, plus all your gear. And so that's how you look at how much total AP you have. And one resource that I use is Garmoth. And we all know and love Garmoth. And here's a little, this is the website. So on the thing, you can look at the tools, and then you look at the monster AP caps. And the way you read this is you can scroll down per region. And let's take all of these, for example. So let me show you what all these mean. So this is the top of the page. Initial 5%. This is the like intro damage you do. What you really want to look at is the 100%. So your AP should be within that range, right? And then the soft cap is if you are over this like 100%, you'll be doing more, but at like a lower rate ish. So like, for example, if we take underwater Sakraya and you're over 490, so like 500, you'll be doing 70% with that extra 10 AP. So the reason why we talked about like all-out attack before was because the endgame players like myself, I'm grinding places like Ulakita, and you know how it says like the 100% is 1100 AP. Like it's actually very difficult to be able to reach 1100, and you do need a lot of gear. So if you aren't, and you want to get as much AP as you can by artifacts, and you're unable to get like Pendeberekas, which most people don't have, then you're gonna have to get it by artifacts and everything. So I would recommend looking at whatever place you like grinding, finding out whatever AP you're at, and then ultimately just figuring out how much AP you're at, and then you should be at least within the 100% range over here. And then if you're going into soft caps, then it's generally good. So more is better in a way, but as long as you're meeting the 100%, I think you'll be doing fine. So with that said, that's what I use, and some goals that I have for myself. But hopefully you guys learned something, and if you still need help or you need someone to help you point you in the right direction, feel free to drop a comment in the description or like the comment section, or you can just join the Discord, and I'm happy to look at your screenshot and point you in the right direction. So with that said, that's all I wanted to talk about today. Thanks so much for watching. If you're new to the channel, hit that subscribe button. Also, if you have a chance, hit the like button as well. I'd really appreciate it. And hopefully, if you are learning the game or you're at the end game and need help, I'm happy to help you. So I'll see you guys tomorrow with more upcoming stuff. I think actually the new Scholar class is coming out tomorrow, so I'm going to be doing some videos of that, and then some more updated guide videos. So stick around if you're interested in that, and I'll see you guys tomorrow. Peace.